Ready? Good afternoon. The annual general meeting of the College of Registered Psychiatric Nurses of Manitoba will now come to order. My name is Tracy Teeley. I'm a registered psychiatric nurse and I'm the president of the College of Registered Psychiatric Nurses of Manitoba. With me is Laura Panteluk. She's the Crpnm Executive Director and Registrar. I'm pleased that you're able to attend today and thank you for taking the time to join us at our meeting. COVID-19 has required that we ensure appropriate measures and supports are in place to protect the health and safety of our employees, volunteers, registrants, and members of the public. This has meant making some changes to our business practices, include how do we conduct our annual meeting. This is the first time that we're conducting the AGM in a virtual format. Technology might require us to use a little bit extra time and resources, and there may be moments when we need to pause to facilitate some online participation and voting. So I just want to thank you in advance for your patience and understanding as we conduct our annual meeting in a way that's different than we have done in the past. I would like to begin by acknowledging that Manitoba is on the original lands of the Dakota, Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dene, Inuit, and Métis Nation. We acknowledge that the College of Registered Psychiatric Nurses of Manitoba is located on Treaty 1 territory. We respect the treaties that are made on these territories, and we acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past. We dedicate ourselves to moving forward in partnership with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Before we go further into the business of the meeting, I'm going to ask Laura Panteluk, the Executive Director of the College, to provide a few instructions regarding the logistics of the virtual meeting.
Thank you, Tracy, and welcome to everyone. We wanted to take a few minutes to orientate you to the environment that we're using and to provide you with some information. This is the official annual general meeting of the college. To ensure we have an accurate record of the meeting, who attended, and the decisions that were made, this meeting is being recorded. After you registered for the AGM, you were provided with a link to join the meeting. This link is unique to you and is your personal identifier. Using the link provides a record of your attendance and evidence of your participation in the meeting. This unique link also allows you to submit questions during the meeting and, if you're on the practicing register, to vote on the motions. To provide for optimum sound quality for all attendees, all participants are muted during the AGM. You will not be prompted to turn on your microphone or your camera. You will hear the audio from this room and will see the presentations on your screen. If you're a voting member of the college, an RPN on the practicing register, you will need to be logged in to your computer or other device in order to vote. On your screen, you will see screenshots of the features we will use. The location of these features will depend on the device that you're using. The meeting package was posted on the Crpnm website in advance of the meeting and is accessible to all registrants. The meeting documents can also be found in the Documents section of the GoToMeeting application. We're aware that there is at least one document where the link might be broken. We understand it's the minutes from last year. They are available online, and unfortunately we can't add them now that the meeting has started. So if somebody would like to request a copy, you could do so and we'll send that to you. If you open a document and accidentally log yourself out of the meeting, you can go back to the unique URL that was sent to you to log back in. The view on the screen right now shows you how to get back to the meeting, but if you happen to press another button and get kicked out or log out, then you can log back in. We've designated time for questions. Please type your question using the question and answer feature. Questions can be typed in at any time and will be addressed at the appropriate interval in the agenda. Your question will be read aloud and answered through the audio feed. If your question is of a technical nature, staff will respond to you privately over the Q&A function. When a motion is called, the motion will appear on your computer screen. To move or second the motion, please use the raise your hand feature. The chair will recognize and announce the names of those who move or second a motion. When the vote is called, the question will appear on your screen. The polling function will pop up for 30 seconds. If you're entitled to vote, you will indicate in favor or not in favor by clicking the appropriate response on your screen. If you're not entitled to vote, we ask that you do not click on the screen. Only those on the practicing register are entitled to vote. The votes will automatically be tallied and the results announced by the chair. The college will also audit the voting results after the meeting. Are there any questions before we proceed?
No, there's no questions, so we'll move forward. So at this time, I would like again to welcome everyone to our AGM. On your screen right now, you'll see the members of the board of directors. They're all attending virtually. I'd like to acknowledge my fellow board members who are serving on the board for the 2019 to 2021 term of office. My executive committee, we have Vice President Wanda Bryan, RPN, Executive Member at Large, Candace Holden Push, Public Member, and Chair of our Finance Committee is Kellyanne Stevenson, RPN. Our directors are as follows: Annette McDougall, my apologies, RPN, Jennifer McKinley, RPN, Sharon Mullins, RPN, Taryn Schrott, RPN, Andrea Thompson, RPN, Sarah Wickstrom, RPN, Richard Sweep, RPN, Christian Croker is our public member, Joanne Burns, ministerial appointment, Carol Lepkowski, ministerial appointment, and Destiny Watt, ministerial appointment. The CRPNM is proud of our collaborative relationships with our nursing and regulatory colleges colleagues and are pleased to welcome representatives from the College of Registered Nurses of Manitoba, the College of Licensed Practical Nurses of Manitoba, and the Registered Psychiatric Nurses Association of Saskatchewan here today. We'd also like to extend a warm welcome to any members of the public who are joining us today. I also like to take this time to introduce you to our CRPNM staff, which are also featured here on the screen. You've already met Laura Panteluk, our Executive Director and Registrar. We also have Ryan Shimko, our Practice Consultant and Deputy Registrar. Grace Lucero, she's our Registration and Executive Coordinator. Sherry Lanis, our Administrative Assistant. And John Schmidt, our Contract Accountant. We will now proceed with the business portion of the annual general meeting. A quorum for any annual or special general meeting of the college shall be at least 12 practicing registered psychiatric nurses. The number of voting members in attendance online at the start of the meeting was 20 for a total of 20 voting members. A quorum is achieved for the annual general meeting of the College of Registered Psychiatric Nurses of Manitoba. The rules of procedure was emailed to online participants in advance of the meeting and was also available for download on the college's website. Only registered psychiatric nurses are entitled to vote, and RPNs have been approved to vote by the virtue of registering for the AGM online. We would direct your attention to rules 10, 11, and 12. At the end of the discussion, the question will be called. Online voting will be conducted by a polling function. A poll will show up on your screen with the motion and two options, in favor and not in favor. After 30 seconds, the poll will close and you will no longer be able to vote. The results of the vote will be automatically tabulated by the GoToWebinar program and reported to the president, who will read them out loud to the meeting participants. A majority vote is required for the adoption of the motion. Observers have the right to voice with the chair's permission, but no observer shall have a vote. The agenda was emailed to all registered participants in advance of the meeting and was also available for download on the college's website. If there is no objection, the agenda will be adopted as circulated. There are copies of the 2019 annual meeting minutes available today for your information. Sherry Lanus will be our recording secretary for the meeting. The recording of the meeting will be used to make any corrections or adjustments to the minutes before they are recommended to the board for approval. The scrutineer will assist the president by confirming and recording the votes. I will appoint Grace Lasario to monitor the online voting results to ensure accuracy. I'll move on to the president and the executive director's report. Serving and protecting the public interest is the college's #1 priority. It is our responsibility to communicate openly and honestly with the public and to strive for transparency. The work of the college is supported by registered psychiatric nurses and members of the public at every level. We could not accomplish our work without the support and collaboration of the board members, the staff at the college, registered psychiatric nurses and public volunteers, our education and practice leaders, and our nursing and other health-related regulatory colleagues in Manitoba and Canada. The President and Executive Director's report had been circulated in the annual report and can be found on pages 6 to 7. Copies of the annual report can be found with the meeting minutes and is available for download from the Crpnm website. We have allotted 10 minutes for questions. Please use the Q&A function to type your questions. Are there any questions on the President and Executive Director's report? No. Okay, we're hearing no questions, so we're going to go and proceed. I'm going to move to questions regarding the 2019 published annual report. The College of Registered Psychiatric Nurses of Manitoba provides an annual report to the Minister of Health in accordance with the provisions of the Registered Psychiatric Nurses Act. The report covers the period from January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2019, and includes statistical information and a financial statement of accounts of the college as required by the Act. As noted, copies of the annual report can be found with the meeting materials and is available for download from the Crpnm website. We have allotted 10 minutes for questions. Please use the Q&A function to type your question. Are there any questions? Okay, just going to make sure, no questions. Okay, there are no questions, so I will proceed. We have the report of the approved audited financial statements. The Crpnm accountant, John Schmidt, will be available to answer questions about the audited financial statements. We're just going to invite John to turn on his camera and test his audio at this time, just so we can make sure.
I am here.
Perfect. Thank you and welcome, John.
Thank you.
The Crpnm's Finance Committee assists the Board of Directors to fulfill its fiduciary responsibilities for financial reporting, internal controls, auditing, and accountability for the use of the college's assets. The board ensures an independent audit of the college's finances on an annual basis. On March 14th, 2020, the board reviewed and approved the audited financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2019. The audited statements are published in the annual report, and we would direct your attention to these statements at this time. We again have allotted 10 minutes for questions. Please use the Q&A function to type your question. Are there any questions about the audited financial statements? Okay, if there are no questions, we will proceed. I'm going to move to the motion from the board bylaw revisions. To continue to prepare for the CRPNM's transition to regulation under the Regulated Health Professions Act, the RHPA, and to ensure that the college has the appropriate structures and resources in place for this transition, the board is recommending changes to some of the CRPNM bylaws. The Registered Psychiatric Nurses Act requires that the board provide a copy of the proposed bylaws to the members for their review and comment, and that the board review and consider the comments received. On March 14th, 2020, the board approved revisions to bylaws 3.01A, 4.04B, 10.6, 10.7A, and the repeal of the bylaws 8.01C4, 8.08H, and 10.9 for member consultation. The proposed bylaw changes were posted on the CRPNM website from May 1st to 14th, 2020 for member consultation. Comments received by the end of the day on May 14th, 2020 were reviewed and considered. On May 25th, 2020, the board decided that no changes were required following the member consultation. The proposed bylaw changes, as they were originally published, are being recommended for approval by the members at the CRPNM Annual General Meeting. The proposed bylaw changes with the rationale were emailed to all online participants in advance of the meeting and are also available for download on the college's website. The motion is on your screen. The motion was moved by the Board of Directors. The motion is that the proposed revisions to the College of Registered Psychiatric Nurses of Manitoba bylaws be approved as circulated. Is there a seconder? Please use the raise your hand function to second the motion. Isabel Jaron has seconded the motion. Thank you for that, Isabel. We have allotted 10 minutes for discussion. Is there any discussion regarding the proposed bylaw changes? Okay, there are no questions. I will now call for the question. The question is on the approval of the bylaw changes. Please open the online voting. The online poll is now closed. Please provide the results. We have 100% of those who voted are in favor. The motion is carried. We'll now move to the motion from the board of the 2021 Practicing Registered Psychiatric Nurses registration fee. The CRPNM bylaws identify that fees for practicing and graduate registration are recommended by the board and approved by the members at a general meeting of the college. One of the board's responsibilities is to ensure that the college has enough resources to finance its operations. In exercising this responsibility, the board uses a 5-year plan to forecast the impact of different scenarios on our revenue and expenses and make recommendations about the registration and other fees. Various assumptions are built into the planning, such as inflation on the previous year's expenses and the slowing of the annual growth of the RPN members. Discipline expenses could have been devastating consequences to the college's financial position, but they are also the most difficult to plan for. At the end of 2019, the board increased the discipline reserve fund to $100,000 as we were concerned that the significant increase in the number and the complexity of the complaints received in 2019 might continue. A jurisdictional review of registration fees also informs the board's decision-making about the fees. It has been determined that a fee increase of 3%, $16, will be required next year to keep the college in a sound financial position and to ensure that the CRPNM has adequate fiscal resources to meet its statutory obligation related to complaints, investigation, and discipline. The CRPNM Board of Directors is therefore recommending that the 2021 practicing fees be set at $557 plus the GST. The motion is on your screen. It was moved by the Board of Directors. The motion is that the practicing registered psychiatric nurse registration fee for 2021 be $557 plus the GST. Is there a seconder?
Kellyanne Stevenson.
Kellyanne Stevenson has seconded the motion. Thank you, Kellyanne. We have allocated 10 minutes for the discussion. Is there any discussion regarding the proposed 2021 practicing registration fee? There are no questions. I will now call for the question. The question is on the approval of the 2021 practicing registered psychiatric nurse registration fee. Please open the online voting. Okay, the online poll is now closed. Please provide the results. %% of those who voted are in favor. The motion is carried. We'll now move to the motion from the board on the 2021 graduate psychiatric nurse registration fee. The board of directors is also recommending an increase in the graduate psychiatric nurse registration fee. This would be for initial registration and renewal and effective January 1st, 2021. The graduate psychiatric nurse registration fee has not been increased since 2011. The motion is on your screen. It was moved by the board of directors. The motion is that the graduate psychiatric nurse registration fee for 2021 be $120 plus the GST. Is there a seconder?
Kellyanne Stevenson again.
Kellyanne Stevenson has seconded the motion. Thank you for that, Kellyanne. We have allocated 10 minutes for discussion. Is there any discussion regarding the proposed 2021 graduate psychiatric nurse registration fee? There are no questions. I will now call for the question. The question is on the approval of the 2021 graduate psychiatric nurse registration fee. Please open the online voting. The online poll is now closed. Please provide the results. 94% of those who voted are in favor. The motion is carried. So this concludes the business of our meeting. There's being no further business. The annual general meeting is adjourned at 4:26. Thank you for your time and attending today. You will be receiving an email seeking your feedback on the meeting, so we would really appreciate hearing from you since this is the first time we've used this format, so we would appreciate that. So thank you and have a safe evening.